Hello all, welcome to our channel. In the section of Constitution of India, as we are looking into the parliamentary form of government in India, today we are going to look upon the topic President of India, his executive functions, judicial powers and legislative powers. So let's get started. The office of a president is very august and the constitution attaches to him many privileges and immunities. The president, along with the council of ministers headed by prime minister, comprises the central executive which has been dealt from Article 52 to 78 of the constitution. The president is the head of state and former executive. Head of state and former executive. All executive actions at the center is expressed to be taken in his name. This power has been granted to him under Article 53 of 1, which states that the executive power shall be vested in the President and shall be exercised by him directly or through officers subordinate to him. The President of India is the head of state and the first citizen of India and the supreme commander of the Indian Armed Forces. In theory, the President possesses considerable power. In practice, the President's role is comparable to those of a constitutional monarch, and indeed the office replaced that the British monarch that was represented by Governor General upon India's independence. The Constitution only formally vests function in the hands of a president. In reality, he has no function to discharge his discretion and of it or his individual judgment. He has to act on ministerial advice, and therefore the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers constitute the real and effective executive. The office of the President is created by Article 52 of the Constitution, and the matters of election are depart from Article 54 to 60 of Constitution. The President is elected by the method of indirect election, that is, by electoral college consisting of elected members of both houses of parliament and of state legislative assemblies. The method of indirect election was emphasized the ministerial character of the executive, that the effective power resides in the ministry and not in the President as such. Secondly, the method of the direct election would have been very costly and energy consuming. There was also the fear that a directly elected president may in course of time assume all the power. The president derives its power from Article 53, which vests in him all the executive authority, including the supreme command of the armed forces. There are several other provisions in the Constitution that mention specific function of the President. Briefly, the President has the power to appoint all important offices, including those of the Prime Minister and other central ministers, governors, judges, and of the Supreme Court and of High Courts, and even election commissioners. He even has the authority to appoint commissioners with respect to administration of scheduled areas. Most importantly, the President is vested with wide powers during emergency under Article 352 to 360 of Constitution, including the suspension of fundamental rights. Moreover, every bill comes to him for his assent and can either refuse to give him his assent or send it back for reconsideration. Power of President can be classified as executive functions, legislative functions, and judicial functions. So let's see one by one. First is executive functions of a president. The exercise of executive power of union is the function of president. A primary function of the executive is to administer and execute the laws enacted by parliament and maintain law and order. However, the executive function cannot be limited to this, and a modern state is not expected to confine itself to a mere collection of taxes. Maintaining law and order and defending the country from external aggression, the executive operations over a large area and discharges various and complex functions. The central executive is entitled to exercise executive functions with respect to all those subjects which fall within the legislative sphere of Parliament besides executing executive functions which are exercisable by the Government of India under any treaty or agreement. A few provisions in the Constitution confer to the President some express executive powers such as power to make important appointments like Prime Minister and other central of ministers, governor, judges of Supreme Court and High Court, chairman of members of Union Public Service Commission, the Attorney General, the Chief Election Commissioner and the other election commissioners, and the Controller and Auditor General of India. He also has the power to appoint various commissions like the Finance Commission, National Commission for Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes, power to enter into contracts on behalf of Indian Union, power to issue directions to state in certain circumstances. Besides the above, the executive power of the Union is also vested in the Union in accordance with Article 53. The executive power may be exercised either directly or through officers subordinate to him in accordance with the Constitution. However, a dispute exists with regards to this power due to the absence of definition of term executive power in Constitution. The executive cannot act against a statute or exceed in statutory powers. If there exists a law on that particular matter, the executive is bound to act in accordance with it. Next is judicial powers. The central executive is empowered to appoint judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court under Article 124 of 2 and Article 217 of 1 respectively. Another important judicial power vested with President is power to pardon under the Act. Article 72 lays down the cases and the President has the power to suspend, remit or commute sentences in all cases where the punishment or sentence is by court-martial. In all cases where the punishment or sentence is for an offence against any law relating to a matter to which the executive power of the Union extends. In all cases where the sentence is a sentence of death. However, pardon should not be regarded as a matter of right. It is an act of grace. A pardon not only removes the punishment but also places the offender in the same position as he had never committed the offence. The effect of the pardon is to clear the person from all infamy and from all consequences of the offences for which it has granted and for all the statutory or other disqualifications upon conviction. The scope of power of President under Article 72 to commute a death sentence into a lesser sentence has been left upon by the court after observing that whether a case is appropriate to be sent for the consideration of presidential pardon depends on the fact and the circumstance of each particular case. Therefore, this power of the President can be subjected to judicial review if the court discovers malfide intention or political vigilance. The last one is legislative powers of President. The legislative power of central executive can be divided into heads of participation of the executive in the legislative process and ordinance making power. So let's first see participation of the executive in legislative process. The President, along with the Council of Ministers, is both members of the Parliament and participates intimately in the legislative making process. The President has the power to convene and provoke to dissolve Lok Sabha. The President has power to pass a bill and his assent is required for transforming a bill passed by the two houses into an act. The central executive's consent is also required in passing a certain types of state legislature which falls under the ambient Article 288 of 2. Moreover, in certain aspects, the President's recommendation is required before a bill is introduced into two houses of Parliament. Bill relating to the alteration of states or formation of new states under Article 3. A money bill cannot be introduced without the recommendation of the President, that is Article 117 of 1. Bill involving expenditure from the consolidated funds of India. Any bill affecting any tax in which the states are interested. Now let's see ordinance making power. The more controversial and debatable legislative power of President has always been the ordinance-making power. Usually, the power to make laws rests with the Parliament. However, under Article 123 confers special power on the President, empowering him to promulgate ordinances when the Parliament is not in session and the circumstances are such that which require immediate action. An ordinance cannot be promulgated when both the houses of Parliament are in session. However, it may be passed when only one house is in session, and the reason being that a law cannot be passed by only one house and thus it cannot meet a situation calling for immediate legislation. This power, granted to President in the Indian Constitution, is unique and no such power has been conferred upon the executive in Britain or the USA. In justification of the inception of the ordinance-making power in the Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said that there might be a situation of emergency when the Houses of Parliament are not in session. It is important that this situation should be dealt with, and it seems to me that the only solution is to confer upon President the power to promulgate the law which will enable the executive to deal with the particular situation, because it cannot resort to the ordinary process of law and because the legislative is not in session. Article 123 empowers the President to promulgate ordinance as the circumstances which appear to the require when both houses of Parliament are not in session. So this was all about the President of India, his executive, judicial and legislative powers. So thank you for watching this video. Please stay tuned for more such content to our channel. Also do like, share and subscribe our channel. Please press the bell button to get the latest video updates to our channel. Thank you.